So till now we are using main method to run your program, right? Now onwards, we are not going to use main method anymore. We are going to use unit testing frameworks. Those are JUnit and TestNG. JUnit is a unit testing framework for Java. If you are using a Java programming language for Selenium, you can use either JUnit or TestNG frameworks. JUnit or TestNG frameworks you can use. What is this JUnit and TestNG frameworks? Both are different. JUnit is different, TestNG is different. JUnit is a unit testing framework. Okay, unit testing framework. So which is generally used to write the unit test cases. So unit test case, who will write? Developers will write. But why we are learning? So sometimes automation test also need to write. So unit by unit, you will test it, like a function by function. That you will test it. That's a unit testing. So that unit testing purpose to automate your units, then you will use this unit test cases for testing the basic unit. Their functions are working or not, you can check that. So what is JUnit? JUnit is a unit testing framework for writing the unit test cases in your application. Maybe you can also write just a unit test cases. That purpose we can use JUnit. So if you see here, you can find out here JUnit. Okay, so right. This is one JUnit framework. JUnit framework. So this JUnit framework, it's a Java unit testing framework, and the latest version is Jupyter JUnit 5. First, it started with JUnit 3, then JUnit 4, now JUnit 5. So now 5 version is going on. So the annotation. So what is meant by annotation? Here all annotation based. What is meant by annotation? It provides metadata to the classes and methods. It provides metadata to the classes and methods. So which data you required. So that will be so that is called annotation. Annotation is nothing but @ symbol. Just before the name, you will add @ symbol. So just before the name, you will add @ symbol. That is called an annotation. So you will use a symbol. @ means it's an annotated. So JNet 5 is the latest version, and we have JNet 4 annotation names, JNet 5 annotation names. Both are different, just slightly names are changed, but functionality wise the same. So what are those annotation names? Before class, before all. Before class is the JNet 4 annotation name. Before all is a JNet 5 annotation. So at the rate before is JNet 4, at the rate before each is JNet 5. At the rate test, at the rate test in both versions. So at the rate after, at the rate after each. At the rate after class, at the rate after all. So basically, you observe here. Before class means in the JNet 5, at the rate before all. Before all means before all the methods, first this will execute. So I'm coming to that definition later. So at the rate ignore, at the rate disabled. At the rate run with, at the rate run with, at the rate suit, at the rate suit. But let's understand what is before class and before all means. So in your JUnit class, you will create a JUnit class. In that class, basically, there is no main method now, only annotated methods. Like these annotated methods, before all, before each, at the rate test, at the rate after each, at the rate after all. These are all the annotation methods. So what is mean by before all or before class? What is mean by that? First, this block of code will be executed once only. First time it will execute. Before any test method or any annotated method, first in the JUnit class, before class or before all annotated method will be executed. But why it will execute first means, what purpose you will use this? Any precondition before your test method you want to do, then you can use this before class or before all. So at the rate before class, at the rate before all, you will use any precondition steps, like, so you can validate your browser launching or DB connections, something preconditional things you want to do for your test case before. Only one time is enough, not required many times. Such cases you will use this before all or before class. Before all or before class you can use. That's the before all and before class means. And then, so this is the syntax. At the rate before class, at the rate before all. And then public static void method name, parentheses, write the precondition code. Like for us, as a Selenium tester, you will write browser launching, right? That's a precondition code for our test cases. So without browser launching, you cannot do anything. That kind of browser launching, maximizing the code and adding the implicit weights, all those, you can put it in the before all. Any precondition, that's a simple example I'm giving. But you can keep any precondition code data in the before all. This, this annotated method will execute only one time, first, that to first. Then after this, if you take a rate before each, second, it will go to rate before or before each. So there's a hierarchical order will be there. Before all, before each, will execute next. So before each, understand, before each, that means this annotated method will be executed before every test method. Every test method execution before, and this block of code will execute. So for example, you have multiple @test methods in the JUnit class or TestNG class. First, before each block code will execute, then cursor will move to @test block. So that's it. Anything that is repeating for each test method, you can put that code in the before each. So before each will execute, then it will go to test. If one more test is there, again, cursor will come to before each first. After that, it will go to second test. That's the before each or @before means. Can you observe here? Before all is a static method. Before each is a non-static method. Public void setup, and this is the non-static method structure. @test is a mandatory in JUnit class and TestNG classes. In JUnit and TestNG classes, these are mandatory. These are mandatory. But before each, before all are optional. After each, after all, optional. But only @test is the mandatory annotated method in the JUnit and TestNG classes. Then what is @test means? @test tells you it is a test case. If you annotated any method above with @test, the meaning of that is it's a test case. It is representing the test, your actual test. That's the @test means. We can write more than one @test annotations in JUnit and TestNG classes. So because we have a lot of test cases, right? Each scenario you can put one @test. Each scenario you can write one @test. @test, public void test method name, only test steps you can write in the @test inside. See, this is also non-static method. Only before all, after all, these two are static methods. Before each, @test to @after each, these are non-static methods. So I can write multiple @test in a single class, or we can write multiple @test annotations. But you have to give method name must be different and logic. This scenario is different and this scenario is different. Both are different. Both scenarios are different. Now, what is @after or @after each? So this annotated method will be executed after each test method. After each test method. That's the after each or @after means. So public void tear down, and you just destroy code. This will, after each test method, then cursor will automatically go to here. Then next test method is there. First it will go to before each, then second test it will come. After second test, it will go to @after each. So that means @after each tells you this annotated method will be executed after each test method. Each test method after. If you take @after each block that will be executed. So your test method after anything, if you want to execute, you can use. So @after each. Then what is @after class? @after class, so will be lost after all the test cases are done. Finally, you want to execute some like browser closing or logs gathering, anything post your test cases. And then you can use this @after class or @after all annotation. And so @after class or after all, public static void after class. So destroy the code. So that's the how you can use this after class or after all annotated method. So these are the annotations. Then @ignore or @disabled, these are used to disable your test case. Currently, you don't want to run that. Then just put @ignore or @disabled on top of @test method. Then that test method will not execute. So that's the @ignore and @disabled. So this is the order of execution. First @before all, @before each, @test. See, test after it will execute @after each. Then one more test is there. Again, cursor will go to before each, and second test method after each, then after all. After all will execute. So this is the order of execution. Order of execution. So then what are the features we have? JUnit is a open source framework. So which is used for writing and running the unit test cases. So basically it provides a annotation to identify your test methods. And also you have assertions. It provides the assertions. You want to verify expected and actual values. And that can be done with assertions. And it provides a runner class automatically. So test runners for running your test cases. And also you can write the code very faster and efficiently, and it's very simple. Because you will get everything annotated. Tree structure you will get when you create a JUnit class and TestNG class. So in the method blocks you will get with annotated. So that's why it's very simple and takes less time to build the JUnit test cases. But you should know your functionality, what you want to automate. That's very important. And let's see what are all the different assertions we have. See, assertions we have, assertions class is there. So this is available in the org.junit.jupyter.api.assertions class, which provides all static methods. You know, static methods. So how to particular class static methods, how to call class name dot static methods, right? So that how to do, we'll see that. Okay. So assert array equals. Basically, it compares the actual array and expected array. This is the mostly we are going to use. Assert equals compares the actual value with the expected value. Assert not equals. So you're expecting both values are not equal. If you want to compare both should be equal, use assert equals. And you want to verify those are not equal, use assert not equals. They should not be equal. You want to verify that scenario, use assert not equals. And assert true. So you are expecting that statement should be true. Then you can use assert true. Assert false validates the provided value is false. You are expecting false, and you can use this. Assert null, you are expecting the value should be null. Then you can use assert null. Assert not null, it should not be null. Then you can use assert not null. So these are the very important. Other than that, nothing. And yeah, so we're good with this JUnit theory part. And tomorrow I'll show you how to write test cases with a JUnit format. And we'll write few things like how to handle alerts, how to handle frames, how to handle, yeah. So these test cases we'll write. And I have a lot of exercises added. You go and practice that. After I write, you can practice in JUnit format. Maybe simple scenarios also you can take and you can automate them. Okay. So that's all JUnit. And you can